the way that I think about personas today is really it's a reference or a marker or really just an artifact that allows you to really understand the end person that is going to be using whatever you're building, right? And so I think what's really key about these things is that it's supposed to, well, I think there's two things that I really like about personas. One is that it really, it's a shorthand. So rather than saying like, okay, for that field tech worker that is out on the job, that's been there for 30 years, I just say Joe, right? And people know who Joe is. They actually know a lot of nuance about Joe, potentially, but it's just Joe, right? When I write stories, it's not field tech worker, it's Joe, right? So Joe this, Joe that. I think it also personalizes them a little bit more. So like, even though you don't necessarily care about all the details about these personas, like the personas are really more about personalizing this narrative that is that particular role. And so getting maybe into this guts about like what I think are good or bad personas is that I've seen a lot of personas that end up being a fictionalization of someone, and a lot of the attributes that they end up giving to this persona are superfluous or frankly bad for building products, right? So like, again, getting back to that the idea that Tom is a certain age, that's potentially helpful, right? Like saying that they have a dog and that they live in an apartment, like if you're not dealing with dogs or apartments in your role, then it doesn't matter, right? Like if the dog actually matters because Tom is, you're building like a veterinarian site, then the fact that Tom is a dog owner or that they own a old dog, right, is actually interesting. But like the fact that they just own a pickup truck and a dog and they eat tuna fish sandwiches, that doesn't matter most of the time. Good personas, though, it's really about finding a way to personify what happens in the regular day for the people you're building things for. And so it's less about specifics and it's more about kind of like how they think of the world. And so we tend to use them much more as like job-related roles. So it's that this person has some kind of job in general. And so for B2B type of stuff, you're going to find that a job position is a good persona to use, right? So we have Joe, who's a field tech worker, right? And that there's a lot of different types of field tech workers. Like there's some that focus on plumbing or electrical or AC. So they have a wide range of educations, right? Like they may or may not be good at technology. But unless you're really worrying about any of those different things, it doesn't really matter. It's more about the fact that they have this type of job, right? In our particular case. When it comes to consumers, I think it's still that job to be done style persona. I think is very effective. Like, why is this person using your particular product? And so when it comes to consumer things, it could be, again, showing off to other people is a job to be done, right? And so there could be people that are all about flashiness, and that could be one persona. And then there's someone else that's more about like, they want to make their life easier. That's a different persona. But the details about their lives really don't matter, again, unless you're really specifically targeting that type of information. And so when I said it's an artifact as well, is I think it's something that, one, when you're onboarding new people into the team, it's like the first thing you talk about. What are the first things? Something that should be up on your wall, right? You can always use clip art or fake photos and stuff like that for it, but it's really just more about like the name and kind of that job role that I think is really valuable. Yeah, I see personas done so horribly all the time that it just makes me laugh. Like if it starts turning into like a Dungeons and Dragons sheet about someone, or if it's like, I think there's some interesting stuff I've seen around people doing like Facebook style profiles for personas. But again, if the person is not someone that is interacting via social media, I don't know if it matters. So this maybe gets back to maybe one of those tenets of like product management, is you should always be understanding who your audience is and how your audience is going to be using something. So documenting something can be very valuable if the audience needs it documented that way on that particular topic. If they don't care about that topic, why are you documenting it, right? So I think personas are in the same vein, that you should really only be having the information that is really powerful and interesting to the people as a shorthand while they're building products, and helps personify and empathize with those people. Otherwise, I think that the persona can be just a name and a job role almost. I know that there's a lot of people that will disagree with me about that, but I just, based on my experience with them, I've seen a lot of horrible personas created.